Yeah, today today is truly just a check-in and answer questions, see how you guys are doing. It's been over 2 months, believe it or not, since we were in St. Charles, right? Because we were in St. Charles the beginning of February. It's now the middle of April, and that seems like the time has gone very quickly. We've got a couple, first of our makeup sessions for like Nene and the others who couldn't make it, and the second one's next weekend. And I've got a couple things I want to cover, but I really want to answer questions and just have each other share what's going on and where you can use some help. So Denise, why don't you ask your question again so everyone can hear it, and then we'll get you an answer.
Okay, I have a PCC in my club, and he was questioning what's going to happen to the hierarchy of the foundation, if it's going to stay the same people are going to go into the positions. And then also my club has their own foundation themselves, nonprofit, and we're wondering if there's going to have to be changes made legally with names and through the banks and things like that.
So first of all, if you guys don't remember, the senior citizen cat is awake in case you can hear him yowling. He is fine. He's got his food. He just wants attention. So sorry for George's whining. So Denise, that's really a great question. So let's talk a little bit about this Lions rebranding from International. So International has created I'm going to call it a parent organization that's going to be called Lions International. And it's being done in order to help promote Lions as a whole. Because right now, what we have before this Lions International change, we have the Lions Clubs International, which is our admin side, and we have Lions Clubs International Foundation, which is our foundation, the service side of things. It's hard when they go out to talk to partners to explain the difference of what's going on. They don't understand, our own members don't understand the difference between LCI and LCIF. So explaining that to others is very difficult. And as they're looking at the big picture and moving forward, going to a umbrella parent brand just called Lions International that holds both of the current entities underneath it will be what is where we're headed. It, to my knowledge and my understanding, and I've read through all the materials, I've talked to a couple of people, it is not going to impact anything with LCIF or the organization LCIF or LCI, because they're just adding another piece at the top. Now, I have not seen what that organizational structure looks like there and what that means. If that's at, the executive officers of LCI are obviously the executive officers of the Lions International now. It's not going to affect the way we do business. The appointees will still be appointed the same way they are. The trustees will be put in place, all of that on the LCIF side, along with the same with international directors on the Lions Clubs International side. It will not have any effect on your 501c3s, your local charitable arms, if you have a charitable foundation, because that is still going to, it's still your charitable foundation listed under Lions Clubs International. So that will not change. If a change does come into play for those local clubs, LCI has to sign off on all the foundations that we do locally. And if something does come up, you will get emails from International, from legal department saying, this is the impact, this is what's going to happen. That has not even been a discussion point at this point. So my guess is it's not going to impact it at all.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. I have two hot topics, and then we can go through everything else, but I wanted to talk a little bit about your goal setting and how you guys are coming with your goals for next year, and see if you had any questions, comments, challenges. I worked with a couple of governors here that there is some confusion in the custom goals versus the preset LCI goals. I don't know what to call those. The ones that are set, laid out there for you for leadership, membership, service, and admin, I believe is what they're under. If you have a goal that's tied to any of the main areas of the LCI goals that they've given you, put your goals, whether they're custom, put all your goals in that area underneath that one topic. So all your service goals, what should go under the topic of the service goals? For example, if you're going to have a rollout and your service team is going to work with your local Lions in implementing the new Lions portal, that should be one goal under service. Another goal under service might be a district-wide service project or whatever it is that you're doing in service, but all of those should flow under that same area. That will allow for when you go to monitor your goals, you don't have to bounce back and forth. It won't be a custom goal. All your goals for that topic will be in that one area, which will help you as you're managing what's going on with your district next year and trying to stay on track with what's going on with your goals. It will also allow LCI to see that you see how your picture, your snapshot of your district and what you're doing in each of these areas for this year, as opposed to bouncing around to these custom goals. So if you're starting clubs, for example, under membership, you can put starting 2 clubs or whatever number of clubs you're starting or whatever you're doing under that membership area, just have more than one goal that falls under membership, so to speak. So just, I think it's laid out right now that it's got one, and I haven't been into that because I don't have access, but the last time I saw it in working, I think you can add another goal under each one of those to the point of where you're done adding your goals. Does that make sense? Is anyone?
Yes.
Go ahead. How are your goals coming for everyone? Are you struggling? Are you doing well? Are things playing out well with your team?
So Jody, I'm having a district retreat.
Missy, we can't hear you. Maybe it's just me, but I can't hear you. You are unmuted, it looks like.
So you can't hear me still?
Very low. Now I can't hear you at all.
We'll come back to Missy. She's working on her tech. She's got a pad there's tablet. She's working on getting in through there. Maybe that'll add her audio for her. How about everyone else? Anyone else have any questions, comments, things they'd like to say about their goals?
I haven't started my goals yet. We're having a district cabinet meeting in the middle of May to sit down and do the goals all together. And I'm having to sort out other issues, personal issues with my cabinet, which hopefully are sorted out now. But I'm not truly convinced they are, but that's a whole other thing I'll have to work with.
Excitement of it all.
Yeah.
I haven't started mine really either. We are doing our follow-up SWOT from last year next weekend. And so once we're through that, then I will set my goals based on what we got from the SWOT. But I'm excited about that because we've had just phenomenal success this whole year with everything that we tried to accomplish. So I'm really excited about that. You know, I tried something new this year that we hadn't asked in the past, and I went to every single person I'm invited to join my cabinet, and I said to them, "What are you passionate about? What excites you?" And they would tell me, and I said, "You know, I have a position for a chairperson for that. Would you like to be that?" And it's surprising. Every single one jumped on it, and they were like excited about the opportunity because I just asked them a simple question: "What gets you excited about Lions?" And man, I was actually really pleased about the response I got. And I did something else. We have a weekly newsletter they call the Wrap, and I had 5 positions I couldn't fill. And I struggled. So I said, you know, I'm just going to put that in the Wrap. So I put a thing out there and said, "Hey, I'm looking for people to fill this position. What do you think? If you're interested, call me." 3 people of the 5 called me to say, "Hey, we want to do this." I'm like, holy crap, that's pretty cool. So
Awesome.
yeah, so I only have 2 positions left to fill. I'm excited.
You're lucky.
I honestly was shocked. I just wanted to try something different because you know how it is. People that like you will fill a position just because you ask them.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean they're going to do the job very well. You know what I mean? It just means they're going to do it. So,
It goes back to the whole motivating your team members. And, you know, if they're passionate about the project, they're likely to jump in with.
both feet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So anyway, I'm excited about it. We'll see how it goes.
Cool. Missy, are you back?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yay! I
Sounds like a
was just saying
commercial.
the same thing as Jason. I haven't filled all my positions yet, but I am with the key members meeting for a district retreat on the 29th, and we're going to work on our goals. I've never had a governor ask me an opinion about their goals in the past. I mean, I guess they just did them on their own. So I felt like it was more important to pull everybody in so we could all be on the same goal. I mean, on the same task and the same ideas, same goals, that type of thing. So that's where I'm at, where I'm working on.
Hello, Jody.
Hello, Neville.
Yeah, now my goals is finished. My cabinet is finished. And my goals done in the SMART goals template. And I cover every aspect, the leadership, service, membership, and running my the current cabinet have input into my goals, the GLT, GST, and the new position of GET. So I all ask them to go through the goals and see what they want to add or change. And I run it also through the current council to see how my goals going to be for next year. So yeah, so I would just need to upload it all, but I'm done, so I'm okay.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Darn,
Anyone else done?
key for you. Way to go, Neville. Great job, brother.
Thank you, thank you. I must say, Drew, I have a lot of support from everybody, so that makes it so much easier.
It certainly does. And people that are willing to step up, even if they aren't passionate about it, a warm body is sometimes all you can ask for. And the reality is sometimes in years when you can't fill some of those roles, you just go without. I mean, you're better off at a certain point if you can't find someone that is interested, perhaps just moving on unless it's a key position. We find, especially with zone chair roles, we have a couple of areas that we struggle with consistently for the last 20 years in my area, and we are not unique. And so we work around that by having the vice district governors cover the different zones where we don't have chairs. So, and they can then be out looking for someone in that area and recruiting the whole time. So it's not ideal because the vice district governors we have here have roles and responsibilities as well, but at least you've got someone in there that knows what you're looking for and is motivated to fill that role for next year, in theory.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are all the districts experiencing a dip in membership?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that is a main concern.
We're up right now, but June 30th is coming and that's when everybody drops. So who knows?
We're seeing, districts that are implementing GMA in their own way and getting it to the club level are seeing positive results, the global membership approach. It takes time and it takes someone to drive the process, as anyone who's been doing it can tell you, but it does work. And getting out to the clubs and doing a workshop with them, if you've got someone working through, even with your district, as you're going to these workshops, these goal setting and this planning workshops, using that process will help your people understand what it is, so that then they can become cheerleaders for it as well and help you spread that out in your district, which may not help between now and June, but it should help as you're building towards next year.
Our year, yeah. Okay.
I would also mention that officer trainings, whatever you call your officer trainings, having something that you can lay out the plan for them and introduce things like the global membership approach. Introduce it if you're doing a district-wide service project or have a special goal that you want all clubs to participate in, along with giving them some information about what their roles are, is really an excellent thing to be looking at right now if you're not already doing so. We actually ours are coming up. We've got 5 of them and they're starting in a week here. But what happens at ours is we decided this year to we've been doing GMA and we've got that out to all our clubs. We've been presenting and we're doing workshops with clubs and all those things. But instead of focusing on, because they're getting sick of hearing GMA, we call it Happy Lions. They're sick of hearing that. So instead of focusing on that, we're going to use the Club Excellence Award paperwork and criteria to have them start setting goals based on that. Because our philosophy is that every club in this district should be able to get to earn that recognition from LCI as a club for club excellence. If every club is doing that, even if 50% of your clubs are doing that, your district is going to be very strong. So if you are looking to help your clubs and then using the tools from GMA on goal setting to help them set their goals and put their action plans in place. We've done this a couple of times over the years, and we bring it back every now and again and hope they're going to do it on their own. And just for the record, they never do. So we give them time during the officer training sessions to work with their team that's there, all the club members that are there, the officers and any other lions that are there, to start working on the goals. So they at least walk out the door with something and thinking about goal setting. Now, what they do with it, we can't control, obviously, but as you're looking at trying to get more clubs to be successful in maintaining and growing membership, having them have a plan is very helpful in their strategizing, so their success is there as well.
Jody, talking about training, is it in the process? Like, I would like to be able to send those training links specifically to like, even like one of my vice presidents within my club has not been to any of the local trainings that we have, but I've really encouraged her to do the Lions Learning.
Yes.
But I would specifically like to be able to send her a link from me personally.
So the challenge, and I hear you, I've tried to work my way around this on numerous occasions. The challenge is they have to have the login set up, and then they just need to go to the right spot. I have not successfully found a way to find a link to those training sessions because they're inside of a separate program that I think they're keeping when they switch over to the new portal. I think at least for now they are. I'm not sure where that's going long-term either. The best thing I think, Missy, what I ended up doing is I went into the place I wanted them to go, and I took a screenshot of that page showing the president's path, because there's paths for club secretaries, club presidents, and club treasurers, and I think club membership chairs, as I recall. So I took a screenshot and then I sent them a note on how to get there, which is not ideal because there's like 5 clicks to get over to even get to that spot, but it was the best I could come up with.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing, if you send out links to the ebooks, there's the club president ebook, the club secretary ebook, the club treasurer ebook. Those books have some great resources, especially because they're linked to the website. So if there's something, it's hard to find things on our LCI website. If they can go by topic and click on that link and get there, it makes it a lot more efficient for them and a resource they can go back to again and again and again.
Okay.
Jaroslav, you've been so quiet today. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing good. Well, what to tell you? I have my cabinet done. I brought some innovations. We went down from 40 people to 30 in the cabinet. But in the same time, I created 10 committees. Every committee is consisting out of 5 people. And it means actually that we are bringing another 40 people working closer to the cabinet. So it might be for the future kind of a base for having new people for a cabinet. And our district went through some difficult years. We lost around 250 lions and more than 10 clubs due to some internal issues. So my goals are not, let's say, so fancy. What I would like to do, I would like to stabilize the district and to get him out from the crisis in which we occurred 3 years ago. And via this, if our district first and second vice district governors will keep this organizational structure which I introduced this year, I believe that it might help in the coming years to extend our membership base. So I never was talking about like founding 10 or 20 clubs and bringing another 300 lions. What I would like to seed and plant and grow is a good organizational structure for cabinet, which will create potential to expand in the future, because this is task which is longer than 1 year, and it cannot be simply achieved by 1 year. Yeah, so we will see how it will work. It's a quite big change, and some people were a little bit scared. Some people are enthusiastic, like always. Some people are pissed off a little bit because they are out of their convenient zone. Yeah, but somehow they understand that this was needed, that we need this change. Some of them were afraid that I am not going to be, let's say, too hard governor to everyone. But now they understand that especially having these committees, my position in the cabinet will be less important, because the majority of work will be done by committees. Communication will be held among the committees. And what I wanted to achieve is that in the cabinet session, we are not going to decide whether T-shirt will be blue or white. Yeah, this will be the job for committees. In the cabinet sessions, we will try to do organization, and if improvements will be necessary, then we will do some amendments of the structure. So I think I will work less than our recent governors, and they will work more, which I like, actually. So we
That
will
sounds
see about
fantastic.
it.
It
Yeah.
sounds like you've got them, you've gone through the change model with them. Some of them, and they all fall all over the place, but it sounds like people are excited for what you're bringing forward. And it sounds like it's a great idea to refocus what's going on. And in districts where the governors do it all, they're never successful. I mean, we had a governor a couple of years ago that refused he did everything by himself. We're still paying the price for that, trying to get caught up and to get people back on board and trust that the district is there to support them. So great plan, Yaroslav. I love that.
Well, thank you. Well, I understand that my position is more about getting them together rather than managing them. Yeah, so we will see about it, how it will work.
Cool. Mine, how are you doing with planning and getting ready for next year?
Planlaman nasıl gidiyor?
Hello Judy.
Hello.
Türkçe alayım ben, İngilizce çevireyim.
Tamam, okey. Şimdi ben kabinemi oluşturdum.
My cabinet is ready already.
Bir takım farklılıklar getirdim. Şöyle ki, biliyorsunuz bizim bölgemizde, Türkiye'de çok ciddi bir deprem olayı yaşandı. Bunun için AFT ve alert koordinatörlüğüne dönem boyunca çok önem vereceğim. Ve komiteleri oluşturdum. Bu komiteleri de birlikte planlayarak ortak yönetim şeklinde dönem boyunca ilerlemeyi düşünüyorum.
As you all know, we had survived a big earthquake in Turkey some 2 months before. So I am planning to concentrate on things and actions about floods, earthquakes, and things like that. I also made my committees ready, and I am also planning to share the work with the committees.
Ayrıca bu dönem için üyeliği kurmayı planlıyorum ve bir kulüp kurmayı hedefliyorum. Bu kulüpte sanat kulübü olmasını arzu ediyorum.
And also, since we are having hard times in the country, I believe gaining too much new members is not so much realistic. So I believe I am going to be able to establish one new club with as 25 members, and I also am planning to for that club to have actions about arts.
Ayrıca global hedefleri yerine getirirken ülkemiz koşulları gereği sanatsal ve kültürel aktivitelere de ağırlık vermeyi, sanatsal, kültürel ve eğitim aktivitelerine de ağırlık vermeyi hedefliyorum.
And the main functions of our bölge ne oluyoruz biz burada? Excuse me, I need some translation about Lyon's terminology.
Bölge, district.
District. And our main subjects in our district will also be about culture, art, and education.
Bu amaçlarımı, stratejik planlarımı ve hedeflerimi tamamlarken bu dönemin hedeflerini incelemeye başladım. Onun üzerine de inşa etmeyi düşünüyorum. Bu dönemin hedeflerini inceleyip onun üzerine hedefleri inşa etmeyi düşünüyorum. Yani bu çalışmalara da başladım diyelim.
Tamam. And of course, at the same time, I will be establishing something about Limos International's targets at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jyoti.
Excellent. Sounds like you especially, I mean, sounds like with all the turmoil, obviously from the earthquakes and the follow-up, and now sounds like you're spot on with where you're headed. And I love the idea that you're looking at a club that focuses on arts and culture and things that bring people
Bayıldım.
joy.
Kültür ve
Ayrıca benim dönemdaşlarım Chicago'da aldıkları eğitimi Hale arkadaşım bana onları aktardı. Oturup birlikte çalıştık onunla.
And I would like to state that Hale, my friend who were in Chicago, I met with her and she talked about all the experiences she had in Chicago.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. It was a fun event for those of you who were there. It was awesome. And we'll pick up and get the rest of you all embraced into the circle when we get to Boston in a couple of months here. Awesome. Who else would like to share about their goals or questions or anything that, because I have a whole bunch of other things I'm writing down as you guys are going on, by the way, to add to the conversation. You know, if you don't talk, I keep talking. So
I still don't have my flight stuff. Does everybody else is booked?
yours is still not in, Missy?
Mm-mm.
Have you heard from the DGE travel? And they just
Yeah.
haven't sent the flight?
I've been in contact with them back and forth because I'm kind of concerned because my daughter is a Lion and she's going to travel with us. And I realize they're not going to pay for it, but I need to get that stuff booked so we can coordinate. And so I have been in contact with them. They just kind of given me the, we're busy, we'll be back with you type situation, but.
I'm just see, I'm quickly looking up here, the name of the email that I got back with our flight information. I think this is it because this is where I got it. So let me drop it into the chat window for you. This is, oops.
Jody,
I don't even have a chat window open. Yeah.
who does it come from? The
email I got, my confirmation information, I just dropped it in the chat, is events1.us@contactcwt.com.
Yeah.
The travel agency is CWT. So I'm going to take a note. And Maria, you're on my list. I haven't heard back anything about your question on travel either. So I'll see if I can elevate any questions that you have on and what's going on, and I'll give them a list of those of you that do not have your travel itineraries yet.
Right. I heard back from them April the 5th. And so I don't know.
Well, it's getting awful late. So
Yeah.
does everyone else have their travel arrangements?
My travel arrangements got fixed. So we're all set.
Fantastic. They didn't let me know. So sorry about that, Maria. I didn't forget
No.
about you.
No, I ended up having to pay for him, but that was because of the whole number spiel, but that's okay. I talked to a couple of PDGs in our district, and they said that has been that way for a while now. I just had not been informed. So I'll make sure my future DGs are informed of that, though.
Excellent. So Maria, that brings, and Missy, I'll come back to you in a second, but Maria, I'm going to come back around to something about that with making sure your incomings behind you are ready to go. So Missy, so I'll reach out and see if I can rattle their cage and get you something. It obviously works and doesn't work depending on the day and how busy they are.
Right.
Barb, do you have yours?
I have mine, but they're changing it because they had me in a motorized wheelchair with a lithium battery. And I don't have a wheelchair. And so somehow that messed up my flight. So I was in touch. So I'm just waiting for them to get back with me. I don't know
Okay.
where that came from.
Someone clicked the wrong button. You know, it's like there's a little checkbox that they hit the wrong one, and you know. Hank, do you have your stuff? Yes, excellent. Denise, you set? All set? Anyone not set? Besides, Hank, Drew, you're still in.
I got my tickets, but my wife is not on there. So I need to add her, and then I need to make some changes, but I'll call them. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to that. I do have the ticket though. So I got to call them and add my wife. I don't know why they didn't put her on, but.
The other thing to keep an eye out for, which reminds me, because they did my husband's plane reservations. And then I got an email from LCI from the housing people for DGE school. And they sent me my confirmation, but there was no confirmation for my husband on him being registered for convention. So if you guys are checking, if you're bringing someone else, partner in service whoever, they should be registered by LCI. So if you've received something for you and not for them, you need to follow back around with them to make sure that they get them set.
Is that registered? I'm sorry, is that registered via LCI for the convention?
Yes. So
finding people
when you signed up, and I'll get that email address for you right now too. When you signed up for, I think you can actually just send it to dgetravel@lionsclubs.org. I'll drop that in there as well. When you signed up for St. Charles or not St. Charles, we had to get those registrations in whatever. And I think it was December. Can't remember exactly. You signed up for both the St. Charles and Boston at the same time. So
Yeah.
it should have all been there, but there was something weird with it this year that didn't seem to all quite flow through from what I can tell. So just double check for your partner in service, whoever's traveling with you, to make sure that there's registered for the convention as well. And that would be the DGEtravel@lionsclubs.org to follow back around with.
Yapılacak şeyler.
Jody, hello. Benim Amerikan konsolosluğuyla randevum 4 Mayıs'ta. Türkiye'de biliyorsunuz bu işler çok sıkıntılı. Neredeyse 1 yıl oluyor müracaat edeli. Ancak 4 Mayıs'a randevu alabildim. Randevu aldıktan sonra ancak bildirim yapacağım. Uçak biletlerim sanıyorum o zaman ayarlanacak. Ama ben dil problemim nedeniyle grubumla birlikte uçmayı arzu ediyorum.
My visa appointment from the American consulate is on the 4th of May. And without that appointment and without a visa, I'm not able to book a ticket yet.
So as soon as that is, fingers crossed that everything works well, and they can get you through the visa, so you're able to they'll ticket you then at that point. I know that things are catching up for a number of people on the visas, and hopefully that works for you and everyone else that's in limbo on that. Hank?
Yeah, I just found out that we have our flights, but I would not been able to figure out how we're ready to go, but we have not been able to figure out how to pay the companion flight charges.
They should have asked you for a credit card from CWT to cover that cost.
No, they don't know. I sit with the same problem. My wife has been got the flight bookings, and they send me a mail. I will pay, but until today I received nothing from them.
So that is, I think that email to dgtravel@lionsclubs.org to let them know is probably the best way to go about that. I did call CWT to rearrange some things with our flights, and they've got people online, but I don't know what their hours are compared to where those of you who aren't in this time zone are. So it's probably easiest to email LCI and ask them at the DGEtravel@lionsclubs.org and ask them to straighten things out for you or help you get them straightened out.
We just have, there's a phone number to call, so I'm not sure call them. Because I emailed several times.
Is there a phone number we can use to call?
I don't believe so. Let me just look at one of these and see if I can find
There's
it.
one on that. There is a phone number on their email. If you're talking about that events thing that I've contacted, but they're not real good at answering. You have a better shot at just emailing them. That's what they tell you to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
If you continue to have problems, please let me know, or you can't get through. I will elevate things as best I can. I will let Wendy, our support person, know, staff person that supports our group, that there's still some challenges, and she can maybe elevate it as well. Coming from her, it might move it faster and at least get us to the right person, and maybe find an actual human you can talk to versus just having an email address.
Thank you.
Something one of you brought up about Maria, Missy, whoever it was, about explaining to your incoming governors, the ones behind you, your vice district governors, about, with the repayment thing for Maria's district in Colorado and different things like that. It recently became very obvious in my own home district and a couple of other districts that I support that the local lore and tradition, local rules of what your district governors do is not being passed down necessarily. In many of our areas, our district governors are younger and greener. They don't have as much experience in the Lions organization. So they haven't been on the cabinet for an extended period of time, and they don't know how things work. And that's nothing wrong with that, but we don't have a system in place or a booklet, a district governor manual or policy procedures or whatever it is. We don't have anything in place that captures what we do locally. So one of our incoming governor's goals this year is we're working with him and the two vice district governors and some of us past people that have been still active in doing what we do to put together this manual. And it basically covers what does it mean to be a district governor in our home district. It's going to cover everything from the costs and the time you can expect to spend, and down to you need to turn in your mileage because you're representing the governor. So we've had governors the last 2 years that our budget is now all goofed up because the vice district governors were supposed to be submitting club visit mileage and information on behalf of the governor. They haven't done it because no one told them to. We just found this out. So, and since LCI has been on COVID mode, it's not going to hugely impact our budgets for the incoming or the future governors here. But I think I mentioned this to you all before, but I'll say it again. The way the budget that LCI gives you as a governor is determined is based on the past 5 years of governors and the history of the costs that were incurred there or put in the expense reports that went in. So if you are someone that doesn't need the money or doesn't care as much about, having that reimbursement, get the reimbursement and donate it to one of your charities. Because the reality is, if you don't, that means you've got one of those 5 years. It is now at zero, and it is going to deeply impact the budget for going forward for 5 years. So making sure that you get everyone that's representing and going out to the clubs to do visits, getting that mileage in and getting those expense reports in is incredibly important.
Jody, I'm kind of in that situation now, unfortunately. That happened to me too. We're doing the same thing you are. We actually have a group we call the Cal Refresh. And it's governors from up and down the state of California. There's about 6 or 8 of us, and we're completely rewriting all of our manuals for everything, from the governor to the, doing a COG, hosting a convention, and all that stuff. It's really been very beneficial, and we'll have actual books to pass on to future governors, because we found the same thing, especially coming in, that we didn't have enough information. I mean, we're trying to break it down to a small thing as, hey, when do I order my governor pins? When do I, those are things that I don't know. I didn't know that when I was coming in, and nobody really gave you a solid answer. So having that is really, I think, hugely important. But
if you want, I can share with you, the Wisconsin policy manual is for
I would love it.
MD 27. Wisconsin is the multiple district I'm from. Our policy manual is quite extensive, and it is, let me see if I can get to it quickly.
I would love that. Yeah.
It is still a work in progress. They have pieces that have never been finished from the major update we did a couple years ago. I'm going to give you the link to all the resources on the multiple district 27 website here, and then you can just download the one that says policy manual, because it's a PDF.
Awesome.
And there's other information, there's other information there if you want. It's public. Take it, adapt it, whatever you need to give yourselves a start.
Jody,
It helps a lot to understand what that info is. You're correct. Yes, Missy, was that you?
one of the things that I had kind of mentioned at Chicago that I think would be great for the future district governors is kind of a timeline, like y'all are talking about, for district governors that send out fairly early. Just so they kind of know, hey, this is due at this point. This is where you got to be here. You know what I mean? It just helps to see it all on a timeline.
Yeah,
So
we think that
basically
would be, I'm sorry. We think that would be good for incoming governors also. I mean, a person who's thinking about running, it'd be nice to know up front what it's going to cost, how much time, because that's the question they ask all the time. Well, what's it going to cost me? So give them a basic idea. Obviously it can cost whatever you personally want to spend, but the basics.
That the timeline, the challenge, how do I put this? So the timeline, I think, is a brilliant idea, and it should be part of whatever your district governor overview of what it means to be district governor in your areas, and whatever you call it or however you do it. But it's really, to a certain extent, local, because so much of leading into becoming governor, until you become a first, so much of what you get is locally driven, either at your district level or at your multiple district level. So I think that it's nice, I believe now, because they signed the contract to do the Q Center for the next 5 years. I think the dates for those events, those trainings, are going to be out soon. It's usually announced from the leadership division report at the board meetings. So it'll be in the executive summaries, where I think I found it in the past. But if I can find that, it gives the dates, because that's a key thing. So, understanding what dates are important. Right now, I think we're telling our vice district governors and those interested that plan on the first 2 weeks of February. Sometime in the first 2 weeks of February, you're going to have 5 days in St. Charles for training. And then we tighten it up as soon as we get the actual dates. So giving them that information. How does your multiple district train you guys? There's local trainings at the multiple district level that have happened. Some do it in large bursts in one, whole weekend. Some do it over the whole year, 2 years, whatever it is. That kind of knowledge is really helpful in getting someone on board to sign up to be governors. So lots of good ideas there, you guys.
Jody, one other suggestion for the very first time you meet is you go over just what you said about reimbursements. That's very, very important. And it kind of gets people moving, especially as first and second VDG, saying, oh, I'll get reimbursed, so I'll start sending in my reimbursements. But sometimes I've known some people that they haven't found out about the reimbursement until like maybe a month ago. So I think that's something that back in November, I think that's when we first met. Just say, look, folks, let me explain one thing to you to begin with, and that's reimbursements. And who does it? Your state, the district, the club, whatever.
I'm going to send you guys a couple of things, and I'm going to have to email them because I don't have them a link for an easy link for them. But I will send you we just did a, so you want to be be a district governor workshop here in December. And I updated all our materials. And again, take it, use it, adapt it, whatever you want. The other thing I'm going to send you is going to be a little more slightly confusing, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's a spreadsheet that talks about where you get reimbursed from. So is it something the district reimburses? Is it something the multiple district reimburses, or is it something that LCI reimburses? And it's because the way LCI reimburses you for, I want to say, 4 council meetings, 5, don't quote me on that, I haven't looked at that for a while. So 4 or 5 council meetings that they reimburse you for. So as you're looking at who, and then our multiple district reimburses us for the other ones here in Wisconsin. So what happens is we always tell our district governors, make sure to reserve one of those council meeting reimbursements from LCI for the state convention, because we have a council meeting in our multiple district convention, and then it covers up to whatever 2 or 3 nights, whatever the rules are, the current rules are, versus our regular council meeting, it's a 1 night overnight and you're in and out and whatever. So that includes information like that to try to help people think it through. It takes a minute sometimes. And when I first saw this spreadsheet, I'm like, what? But then if you look at it, it starts to make sense. And you can adapt that to your local area as well. So I'll send you the reimbursement spreadsheet that we use here in Wisconsin.
Another suggestion along that same line is that I'm very blessed because I have what we call an executive leadership group, and it has a PID, it has a PCC, just a wonderful group of people. And they have really been they're great explainers and have really explained the whole thing. So like you say, you see something, we're going, what? That doesn't make sense. But they're there, they've gone through it, and they've been able. So I strongly encourage you, your group, your first BDG, your second, that's really good, your district. But if you can get somebody who's been through all this, it's really the best ones, and they're just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, because they understand your local customs at the multiple district level or region or whatever your structure is, and have seen it. Now, you may want to change what they're telling you, but at least you understand where they were coming from and what they're looking, what the goal was, and maybe things have changed and it needs to change. Maybe they haven't. You can make an assessment and go from there. But at least you have that background, because we've talked a lot about change. Change is vital to our association to keep us alive, really. So getting people having that background knowledge before you jump into change, and talking to those people to allay some of those fears Jaroslav was talking about. We've talked about extensively about in that change session we did together. Those are really key points in that, because if you talk to them and they understand where you're coming from, they understand you understand where it started, but the things have progressed and here's where we need to go. That, I think, becomes a really great one-on-one touch point that will help you navigate some of this change. Now, I know some of you have run into some brick walls since we saw each other a couple months ago. Those brick walls don't go away easily. It takes time, and sometimes you just have to walk away from those individuals and say, sorry, I understand, I hear what you're saying, but in order to keep us moving forward, here's what we're going to do. And it may or may not work. This is based on a lot of research and a lot of people's input, yada, yada, yada, whatever the story is. And based on all of these people's input, this should work, but it's a work in progress. It's going to change as we move through. More change is coming, people, that type of thing. Anyways, go ahead, Drew.
Two things. Are you going to send us that spreadsheet? That would be interesting to see if you've got it.
Yep.
Secondarily, I actually had one of those people say, well, we don't want to change for the sake of change. And I said, pardon me? I said, the whole idea of change is to change for the sake of change. What we're doing isn't working. I was just unbelievable. They are so locked into what happened before. And this is what I've determined. There's 2 things that people fear in change. The first is loss of what they have. And the second is the fear of having to take action. because it's one of the two. You're either afraid you're going to lose it, or you're afraid you're going to have to do some actual work to move forward. And I just don't get I don't get the stress, but I don't know. I guess that's me.
Well, I get older and older in my Lioness to career, we'll call it. I find that it is, and I am a huge proponent of change. I have heard that same thing. We don't need to change. It's change for change sake. You're just changing it because you don't like you. It's like, no, the world has changed. We have not. We need to catch up. Anyways, that it is interesting. If you can give them a way to continue to feel relevant, because that is, especially with a lot of the past district governors, past council chairs, PIDs, they're afraid they're going to be frozen out of everything now. They won't have any control. This is a whole new world that they're not comfortable with. So giving them something that, keep them on constitution and bylaws or policy or something that, makes them comfortable, if it's appropriate, I think helps with some of that. And having those one-on-one conversations. Drew, you're talking to every cabinet member and asking that simple question, what are you passionate about? Takes it from, oh my God, I'll do another year on the cabinet, to, oh my God, I get to do this year. It's that same concept. So if you can turn it around and find a way for them to feel relevant, maybe you have this advisory committee. And Denise, I love that you have one of those and you have that available with those great Lion leaders who have so much perspective and history to support you and your team as you move forward. If you have that, hallelujah. If you don't in your own area, find it. You're part of a GAT area. There are people in your area that are there to support you above and beyond just what we can do as group leaders, that can help you get that perspective to a certain extent. So getting through that, it's just tough. It's tough to get them to want to change. And there's some of them, very honestly, that just aren't going to come along with you. And you just have to do your best to shut them down and help so they aren't lacking everything that you're doing. Jaroslav.
I just would like to confirm what you said and Drew said. I mentioned I introduced 10 committees in a new cabinet, and 8 of 10 chairmen of those committees are former PDGs. And I saw that it's vital to get them to those positions because, first of all, they still have influence. They still have their support groups. Yeah, so I felt that having them in these positions will help me to go through this change. Yeah, and the fact that people first they show that they like the idea of change, and this is replaced after time by fair. That's normal. Yeah, that's absolutely normal reaction. I was doing as a crisis manager for a couple of years, so I was facing this. First, I saw it; it was a surprise for me, but it's normal. It's really normal, and even if a change will work out, then another paradox will appear that everybody tell, "I knew that." So,
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. So.
I think the key to keeping them on board, and turning those that aren't into supporters of it, I think is communication, honest communication, because not everything is going to go well. And if you say, hey, we thought this is where we're headed, we had a little glitch here and we're going to move on by doing this. We're adjusting to make sure to meet your needs and what we've learned from you or whatever it is. I think that is really key to people building respect and beginning to start look at supporting change. Because if they feel like they're along for the ride and part of that, even if they're not part of the inner team, that they know what's going on, they feel that they are part of it, however tangentially it is, I think you find it to be people start to change their minds. And if you're still getting pushback at a certain point, you just have to say, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. And I would ask that you be respectful, and even if you can't get on board with this, at least let this play out so we can see how this works and if it's beneficial to our Lions, because it's all about our Lions and allowing them to serve more. These are the same guys, by the way, that walk up to me at events where I'm not wearing a past district governor's jacket. We have a past district governor's jacket here. I don't own one. I will never own one. And I've said that since day one, many years ago. I had our club's 100th anniversary. One of those individuals in my own district, who's a past district governor, walked up to me and he goes, "Why are you out of uniform?" I'm like, "What uniform are you even talking about?" I have no idea I had no idea what he was talking about. He caught me as I was running to do something. And he goes, "You don't have your past district governor's jacket on." This is a guy who's brought this up to me for many years. I turned to him and said, "Mike, you are well aware I do not own a past district governor's jacket. I will never own a past district governor's jacket. I am in a suit and business attire. It's okay. I'm in plenty good uniform right now. I have a lion's pin on. We're good." And I walked away. He says this to me all the time. Those are people who are never going to change. They are very rigid and they believe the only way to do things is the same way they did it when he was governor 20 years ago. And you just have to do what you have to do to get beyond it and keep everyone else on the positive as best you can. What else is on my list? I'm gonna send you that. Oh, I know what I want to ask you guys. I didn't check the service project list, those winning service projects, the lists. Have you guys have plans for those? Have you shared those with anyone? I'm curious how they're gone over because it was fascinating to look through them.
I haven't shared them yet. I was going to do that in my first cabinet meeting, but just to throw some stuff out there and let them see what other people are doing, for me anyway.
Anyone else done anything with them?
Same thing.
Go ahead,
Just
Hank.
like you, Drew. Yeah.
It might be a good idea to share them with your GSTs, incoming GSTs now, so that they can take a look at it and maybe think up a good environmental project for your district for next year. And then share them with all the clubs, like you said, maybe at a later date, once the year starts, to get them going. Maybe you share them at officer trainings as here's some great ideas that are already laid out for a service project around the environment that might inspire you. So that might be another spot to get it out a little sooner. But I think waiting is fine as well. But just looking at things, I always look at when we do trainings, when we set up trainings, what's the takeaway? What's someone going to take home with them that's going to make them feel good that they got something out of the session and that they can apply when they get back to their home clubs. So something like that is a great takeaway, potentially, depending on what your goals are. Again, this is all dependent on what you're doing in your own areas, but it's nice to send something like that home with them because they also then see part of the training you went through. They also then understand that there's value in the money that they're giving towards LCI. Their the admin fees that we pay, our dues we pay, does come back to them in some way that's useful, potentially.
If I can share one idea more regarding the importance of communication, I'm already planning cabinet session 0, which is going to be held in June, prior to my governor's year. And it is going to take place on June 2nd already. And the goal of this session 0 is to try to inform everyone how we are going to work in next year. Who will be responsible for what, and what tools, especially what tools will be used for work. Yeah. So because they will still have like 2 months to prepare themselves and their teams to have a really good quality Lions year. Yeah. Usually it's done in beginning of September, but then you have already 1 quarter of Lions year behind you. Yeah.
Right.
And I consider it as a very unlucky in the situation in which our district is. Yeah. So just idea, maybe it can help someone.
That's fantastic. And before you start, Drew, just a second, I think that I'd like to highlight what Jaroslav said. So much of the time, at least in many of the areas of the world that I've worked with over the past couple of years, people wait till September. And like Jaroslav said, you're a quarter of the way through the year that you're just finally presenting something to people. And then by the time they even implement, you're halfway through the year. So getting that early start, that's fantastic, Jaroslav. Just getting your team on board and everyone understanding is huge. Really important. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I was just gonna, excuse me. I was just going to echo that. Actually, I'm doing the same thing. We just call it our vision meeting, and that's going to be in June also. And the same thing. We're basically just sit down with the entire cabinet, and I'm going to put the vision out there. This is what I'm hoping we can accomplish this year. This is the direction we want to go. Each of you has a result that we want. How you get there is up to you. But I'm going to set that vision so that they've got a plan of like, hey, I know where I'm going. I know what I've got to do to accomplish what I want to get accomplished. And I think that's important, because I think that's what we've lacked, at least in our district, for a long time, is that the vision doesn't get out there until the governor goes to his visitation meeting. And some of those, I mean, my own club just had our visitation last week, so that's just a difficult thing. So I think if we can get that started out front and get all the GST plus the rest of the board all in the same vision, I think that's going to be huge for the success of our district this year. So we'll see.
Very cool. That triggered something in me that I realized recently as well that may be of use to you. The action plan worksheets that you have for your goal setting and everything, I strongly recommend you consider having each of your committees create their action plan and use a worksheet or a form like that. Not only for your management standpoint of keeping them on track this next year, but so many of the committees that we see at the cabinet level have this, it's kind of, no one knows what they do, very honestly. And so something happens, that line moves or passes on or whatever the case may be, and you've got no history and no record. Those action plan worksheets actually give you some record that can be referred back to in the future, and that you can, if someone else is coming in as co-chair or someone else, you need to find a new person, they can at least understand what the role is. Mm-hmm. And it's the same at the club levels. It's the same at every level, your district and multiple district levels as well. Having that knowledge and that base that here's what they did is at least a place to start.
That's really awesome. I love that. And you know what? Like you taught us earlier, if it's not written down, it's not a goal. So
yeah. Well, and the piece, by the way, that we never talk about here, we may have touched on briefly, I don't remember, but is your role on your Council of Governors. Now, every Council of Governors acts in a unique fashion, I'll call it. Based on the local needs and how many you have on your councils. I mean, Drew, you guys and Hank, you guys have what, 15? Down to there's 2 in New Mexico. We've got this wide range of things that your councils do different things because of the way you're set up and everything. But understanding, and as you're looking at the roles for your vice district governors and trying to explain to them and capture what their role is going forward as they move up, having them understand that they serve at the council level. They don't just show up at a meeting. They're probably on a committee. They may be in charge of a committee. They may be a liaison with someone, whatever it is that those jobs are. Making sure you give them a heads up on that as well is important. Some areas, their vice council chair is a huge role. Other areas of vice council chairs, just to name a figurehead. So understanding and giving them an overview of what that means. And that is actually something that your local GLT, your multiple district GLT, should be doing with them when they get them in as seconds. But it's something, as you're looking at getting people to sign up or recruiting new governors, vice district governors, having them have a basic understanding that there is a role at the multiple district level. And that role means you will serve on a committee or you will do these whatever that means in your area, I think is an important piece to add to your district governor manual, your local manual, whatever you want to call it. Let me see. I'm writing notes all over the place. I just got that. I'll email that stuff to you guys. What else is going on? Other questions, things that you're worried about, need help with, anything we can help troubleshoot as a team here? Some of the change stuff that's going on is sometimes nice to just have people to bounce it off of. Open forum, guys.
Jody, if we're having technical difficulties getting our goals in, should we call you or should we do something else?
There's an email address, I believe, in the booklet.
Right.
I use that email address. If you can't get an answer from them, then please do get a hold of me and let me know. And I'll elevate that. I knew there was something else I want to tell you. That's a great question. You do have until December 31st. So when you put your goals in now, they're due by May 31st. You can adjust the goals in the system through December 31st of this calendar year. So if things change markedly from what you started with your goals at, where you put them in May and things change a lot, please do go in and update them in the system so they reflect what you're truly doing. Because when you should have received, you did the goals of the governor before you. So you want to make sure they're the most up-to-date they can be. So when the people following you, if they don't have a copy of it, can access it through the system and through LCI. Another huge deal, if we're good with that, is the Lions portal. It is coming. Did you guys get a chance, those of you in St. Charles, did any of you get a chance to do a preview and stop at the table and get to see it? Drew, you did? Missy, how did it look?
Yep.
Looks pretty good. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
They didn't have that much done on it yet, but at least that's
Yeah.
what they showed me was pretty basic, but but it does seem to, that'll be easier to do the reporting, which is really for me, the hardest, not for me, but for my group seems to be the hardest thing.
So I'm part of the focus group or test mark. I don't know what they're calling it. They've got whatever term they're using. They change. Anyways, looking at the pieces as they come out for comment. I did see the club officer level of access, and even including going through and how you can add members, drop members, all of the alls. It is so much better than where we've been ever. It's very intuitive. You can look at a full member record on one page, including their history of offices. I mean, it's going to be amazing.
Good.
There's nothing that I haven't heard any updates on the timeline for rollout. I would be shocked if it's done by July 1. I think I got that email about a month ago and that was the first piece that they had people review. So to my knowledge anyways, for at least this test group. So I think it's probably going to be delayed a little bit, but it's really important that there's a really nice FAQ, frequently asked questions piece out on the LCI website if you haven't seen it on the new Lions portal. And it talks about getting your clubs ready. So as you're in officer training and working with your secretaries, ensuring that they have all the records up to date before June 15th is important. An interesting update. My initial understanding from a presentation from LCI was that every member had to have a unique email address. So if two spouses share an email, that was not going to work. Well, here's the reality. They can both have that email address, but only one of them will be able to, it'll only email to one of them, so to speak. There's something weird with what they decided to do with that. So you will be able to put that on two people. Every member does have to have an email address, I believe, in order to be in the system. That I still think is the case. So I don't know, more information on that should be coming. Checking, staying up to date and keeping up to date with that. If you're on the Global Lions Forum, they are out there all the time with updates on it. And Sue Ben, the chief technical officer for LCI, has been answering questions and putting things out there. So that's probably the best place to stay up to date with it. But part of your officer training, getting them ready, really needs to be that.
I got an email the other day from Brian Sheehan, and he said late July is what he said. He was actually mentioning it, so I don't know if that means anything, but
that sounds like they may or may not roll everything out at once as well. Who the heck? It could be a staged rollout. Who knows? I'm most excited to see the service reporting because our member reporting has been pretty stable since we've been on my Lion for, my LCI. The original reporting system for so long. It's a service reporting that's been a nightmare. So I'm most excited to see the service reporting. Something to consider once it does roll out, your officer trainings are likely to be done long before the system gets into place. it's probably a good idea for you to work with your team to put plans in place for how are you going to train up these club admins and the club secretaries and whoever else is interested when it comes out. Can you do it as an online session? Do you need to go into, out to all your regions and do a face-to-face in a computer lab at a local library, whatever the case may be. But this is going to be an extra component of training this year that we have not dealt with for a very long time. So something to consider as you're looking at training. It's not just going to be your initial officer training likely. You're going to need to go back and do some training on when the portal does launch, because until it launches and they can actually get into it, it doesn't make a lot of sense to share a whole lot with them other than get ready. You need to have everything in and all of those things. What else? What else? What else? I don't know. I'm excited about Boston. It's this last couple of months before you put on your district governor jacket and officially assume the title are going to go so fast for you. It is going to be make your head spin. As prepared as you are, it's still going to be a lot. You're going to start getting a lot of phone calls. You're going to start, if you're not already, you're going to have a lot of these things that people, oh, I forgot to tell you that we do this type of things that all of a sudden pop out of the woodwork. So it's a really great, it's good to get as much done now and as prepared as you are and keep pushing forward. As you're thinking about your year and the years, subsequent years, this came up with some vice district governors as well. It was a question about how they find out about club milestone anniversaries. So like a club 75th or 50th anniversary, whatever it is. As that information is available to you right now in the My LCI. You go in and you go to your district, my district, and the clubs, the whole list of clubs, and you can sort them by charter date. And when you sort them by charter date, then you can look at all the clubs that are going to have anniversaries this next year and at least be able to reach out to them to find out if they're if they're doing anything so you can get it on your calendars. And I bring that up because so often, we lose track at our district levels of some of the things we should be telling people. Clubs are even more so because they're more disconnected from the district. They don't even think to let the district know they're having a event. And it's nice if you can go out, have some representation, obviously, at a major club anniversary. So you can find that information on your own right now by going in and doing that, taking a look at the club charter date, sort by club charter date in My LCI. The other thing, has anyone told you about the club history report in My LCI? Let me see if I can get there quickly. Before you go on, did we talk about this before? The club overview of who's in the club, what their what the number of past district governors and other officers and cabinet members and all those different things. Did we talk about this at all? I can't remember.
I don't recall if we did, but I know I talked to someone.
Yeah.
I was going over that.
Yeah, I actually use that report myself for my own club to keep track of what kind of awards have been given out or what kind of awards have been received by
Perfect.
club.
Maria, that's you, right? Because I can't see you right now because I'm on the other page here. But yeah, that's really what it's for, is helping you prepare to go on club visits. So you know what's going on. And so that you go in and you know that you've got XYZ people there. There may be a past district governor that you don't know that's in that club, and it's appropriate that you recognize them as part of them. Nod to the past, recognizing the service that's been giving, or just going up and talking to them type of thing. But yeah, those awards type of things are good. I'm just looking at other things here. Yeah. It is my understanding that the family units, and what I saw with the new Lions portal, by the way, putting the family unit in place is going to be so much easier. Going in and running, and I believe, I didn't see any reporting yet on how you can run a report on this, but you should be able to, in the new system, because it lists out, like under your this member record, it shows all the people they've sponsored as well. So I believe, fingers crossed, you should be able to run a report of the best recruiters in your district. If you don't have a way to get there now, understanding who's actually recruiting members is huge, because that's the type of people you want to be your GMTs and get involved, obviously. And if nothing else, training on membership and how they go out and talk to people. If they're not willing to step up to a district role, at least asking if they'll share their, do a workshop or something for you.
I was just recently asked by a PDG who had the most recruitments in my district. And I actually found a report that gave me that information, but for the life of me, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it is in the report list under your first vice district role.
I'm looking, I'm in the report section of the district right now. It might be something, and maybe it's, let me go look at the other reports.
Do not change where you change all the, what do you call that? Not in there.
I'm just seeing where, get to the district. All right, where is that? I know that the LCI is working on a study, for lack of a better term, of talking to people, talking to the top recruiters across the globe to get insight into what they do, so that it can provide some better training for our people, because people are afraid to ask someone to join a Lions Club, and how do you do it? And you use the term elevator speech and it's like, they just freak out. It's like, and so they're working on pulling some what should be some very, very good information together for us on that. I've never seen that report, Maria. That would be awesome. I know I can pull it by club, but I've never seen it by person. If you come across it again, if you could share that, that'd be fantastic.
Jody, I
Okay,
know,
I'll look for it.
Thank you.
sorry, Maria. I know a district governor at their convention can give away awards and their own special awards and everything. But is there a place that lists all the different awards that a district governor could give out during the course of a year or at their convention?
So one thing that gets dropped, unfortunately, quite frequently, I'm going to look up what you're looking for here. I think there's still a page for that. The one thing that you will, I believe will continue for this next year is the New Voices Awards. There's 4 New Voices Awards. Oops, hold on a second. In your district government,
I think we got an email on that a couple months ago, right?
I think, I'm not sure. Because I don't get the same emails you guys get.
But if there is a place that we could just see what's going on and what's available and.
I think they're in the district governor ebook is what I'm looking, or the district ebook. That's what I'm looking up right now. I think that's where I saw the look that.
Okay.
Oh, George, you're fine. District ebook. Took me long enough to find it. I think the whole list is there, but that I'm glad you got an email on it, the New Voices, because it seems to be a last second thought process for many. So club support, promoting harmony, yeah. Membership development, resources and references. Recognition programs is on page 24 of the manual.
Okay.
And hold on a second. There's nothing there that's relevant. I'll keep looking for that because I know there's a list. DG. As you're giving out awards, by the way, especially at district conventions, I'm going to give you just my words of advice from my personal opinion. If you have an hour and a half where you're handing out awards, or an hour that you're handing out every award that you have to give, it's no longer an appropriate recognition. People are like, oh my God, another one. And the whole thing. So if you're looking at your district convention to give out a number of awards, I would suggest you consider doing one segment that's your local awards, things that you as governor are giving out. We have special medals we give out for different things that are just, here we have whatever it is. Then if there's another level award, if there's a district level or a multiple district level awards that you're giving out, and then do the LCI awards separately. Each of you will have an opportunity to name 2 to 3 usually people that you want to recommend for presidential certificates of appreciation. And you will do that through your international guest. They are the ones that you coordinate that with. So as you're assigned or you get your international guest formalized or finalized, you're going to want to think about who you want to recognize, making sure that you have a reason behind it, because the ID or the PID or whoever the international guest is going to want to know why this person deserves a recognition. And then they'll bring that award with them. So just so you're aware. The other awards that are available, and it depends on the multiple district and how they're given out, is applying for the leadership medal and the presidential medals. It is my understanding that your country coordinator or your past international directors coordinate that in each of the multiple districts. I know that's the case here in our multiple district. The those awards and are very important. They're the third and fourth highest, second and third highest awards you can receive as a Lion. So thinking about who is doing the work to recognize them is really important. Finding a way to make that inviting their families perhaps to the event, something that's really going to make it special. Some multiples hand out those recognitions at their multiple conventions. Some do it at their district conventions. It just depends on your local customs, but making sure that you do the best you can to make it really special for people to recognize in the district. If you've handed out at the multiple district convention, going to the club after your multiple district convention and saying, and recognizing that person locally, I think is equally important, because it provides that recognition at a level that they're not going to get otherwise, because they're not going to walk into the club and say, oh, guess look what I got last weekend. Most people aren't anyways. So it's nice to be able to do that again locally. So those criteria, by the way, will come out from, she'll be president then. You'll get them from, I think it usually comes out in September-ish. And I know in our multiple district, we have, as governors, you have to have your write-ups done and in to our PIDs that are coordinating it by December. So as you're looking at timelines, it's very early in your year to do that. As you're looking at your district, I will tell you, it is shocking to me how many of the people that we in our own district who have been extremely supportive and active and done important work for us that never got recognition when you would have thought they would. And they're still active in doing work. So when we as a district work on these awards, we work on them as a team. Our exec team works together to come up with names. And then sometimes you're lucky and you can pawn off the writing up of the write-up on someone on your exec team as well. So you don't have to do all those write-ups yourself on why they deserve this recognition. So, and making sure that whatever criteria the President Patty puts out there is part of the write-up, and why they meet that criteria is going to be important in them actually achieving that medal or that recognition. That recognition program, many people think it's all just automated. They truly do review each and every one of those, and people are approved or disapproved based on how well they meet the criteria. So it is a very prestigious awards that we're talking about, and really important that we take the time to put that information in place. The same with any local or multiple district awards you have, talking about it as a team, because you don't know everybody, and getting everyone on board with that is also, I think, an important piece of that, so that you know that you've got someone that's going to be, do you have a site award that you do as a multiple district or district, whatever it is your local awards are, so that you can be making sure you're recognizing those people that are doing the work and getting the job done. And hopefully not all of them have a P in front of their initials at the front of their name, but that's sometimes, I mean, you should, just because they do have a past in front of their name doesn't mean they shouldn't be recognized if they're still doing the work. But hopefully there's some other award. Maybe you create an up and comers award or new whatever, or a line of the year award for your district that you recognize, whatever the case may be, something that's going to allow grassroots Lions to feel that they're being recognized as well. I think the good news for you guys is I don't think there's any more assignments coming down the pipe. I haven't heard of anything. They don't have any. I don't think that I think our time in Oak Brook is going to be motivational, or not Oak Brook, Boston is going to be most motivational, and there's not going to be a lot of heavy lifting, shall we say. We'll have a lovely celebration in Friday evening and then be able to enjoy the convention itself. Have any of you been to international conventions before? Drew, you have? Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Maria has.
Excellent. I will tell you, for those of you who haven't been there, it is the parade. If you want to understand the pageantry and the scope of Lions, you're going to walk in the parade, but then staying and watching the parade go by, literally, you're going to be it's awe-inspiring to see just the breadth and depth of cultures that we represent. It is amazing. Getting out in the time you have, the plenary sessions obviously are very important. There are a number of seminars that go on throughout the convention in the exhibit hall. Getting over there to some of those and stopping in. Every one of the LCI departments is at LCI convention. So if you have questions of club admin people, club administration area, you can go and physically talk to someone and get a name and a phone number. Key ingredients to the success next year is having that human being you can reach out to that you've made connection with. So spending some time in that exhibit hall, planning to do so, I strongly recommend, because it will help you out. If your multiple district does not order your district governor patches for you, you need to get them ordered as soon as possible. And I think that's done through club supplies. We do it, our multiple district does it. So I haven't gone through that process on a one-on-one basis, but I think you contact club supplies to be able to order that. You're going to definitely want that by the time you get to LCI convention. And I'm just going to talk about politics at LCI convention briefly. As long as you have that district governor-elect tag on, you are not allowed to be wearing political candidate, any of the candidates for office, any of that type of gear or pins or whatever, hats, as long as you're wearing the district governor-elect tag on your name badge. So just so you're aware. So the governors and incoming governors are supposed to be apolitical, I guess. So no campaigning for someone. Let me see what else. Who else is, if you got anyone else that's been at convention, have any insight or to what you would recommend people take in or not?
You were right about the parade. This will be my fourth. And the parade is the biggest thing there, I think. But realistically, I'd rather go to a US-Canada forum than an international convention.
I don't disagree with you. That reminds me, the session you should go to, the international director candidates have at the business session, and I think it's a day of the parade. It followed that afternoon of the parade. There's a business session, and all the international director candidates get up and speak at that session. If you don't have someone coming to your convention yet for next year, and again, your processes are all different, and each multiple district handles assigning international guests differently. But going in and hearing them might help you, and or if you know that someone's going to be coming to your convention, to make that connection would be very nice for you to be able to do at that point as well.
And the other thing is, if you get a chance, go to the different countries' hospitality nights.
Yes. if someone offers you a ticket to their hospitality event,
Take it.
take it and go. It is amazing what some of these countries and multiple districts and areas do with these events. As governors, the German contingency invites every incoming governor to their event. And the other piece I need to make clear to you guys so you don't worry about it is formal attire at many of these events call for formal attire. Your governor's uniform counts as formal attire. So you don't need to worry about tuxedos, etc., formal dresses, because your governor's uniform counts. I mean, if you want to come and dress up, you're welcome to bring all that stuff along with you, but don't have to. And the Scandinavian reception, I will tell you, if you can score a ticket to the Scandinavian reception,
Yeah.
definitely go and don't imbibe in too much akavit. That's all I'll say.
Let me ask you, please, what is a dress code for ladies partners?
If your spouse doesn't have, some districts have, or partners in service, they have the district governor and the spouse have the same jackets. Others don't. I think that if it's a formal event, they probably should come in a more formal attire, and you can come in your governor's uniform or formal attire. At business sessions, I think the multiple districts actually usually set what their expectations are for the spouses. At least I know ours does, but I don't know how that works in other areas. Jaroslav, with you guys, because you're undistricted, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that works. You might want to talk to your area, your country coordinator, and see if there's a rule on that.
Okay.
And the most important thing is have fun. The opportunity to talk to Lions face to face from across the globe is amazing. And Google Translate doesn't do perfect, but it allows you to have conversations in your native language with someone that speaks a totally different language and learn from one another. It really truly is. And those of you who are in St. Charles, it's so cool to go into the dining room area and just hear all the different languages going on and seeing the interactions and people trying to communicate with people someone from Korea is talking to someone from Italy and neither one of them speaks the other's language. It was just really, it's another opportunity for you to do that as well. Go ahead, Drew.
I just, Jason had mentioned the USA Canada Forum. I'm on the board for that this year. And I just want to make a personal invitation to all of you to come to Reno this year and to join us at the USA Canada Forum. It is an amazing opportunity to learn and grow and meet Lions from all over the world. So if any of you are free and can make it, it's coming in September and in the city of Reno, Nevada. So.
And because it's in Reno, it is probably the least expensive forum I've ever attended will be this one, because the room rates are a lot cheaper than normal. So for those of you not from the US and Canada, your forums are different than ours. The European forum doesn't have as much workshops. We focus on leadership training at the forum here in the US and Canada. Yours are tend to be, more political. There's more there's no politics at the USA Canada forum. It's just not allowed. It's all focused on leadership training. I'm not sure what South Africa's forum is like, or Africa's forum is like, because I haven't heard much about that one, but I know Europe is definitely a smaller group. There are some breakout rooms and some sessions to talk about, there's the things that are going on in Europe and share information. They have a European Council that kind of coordinates things in Europe, but it's not there. And there's some leadership training, but it's nothing like we have 80, Drew, I don't know how many this year, about 8, there's usually 80 different leadership seminars that go on at our forum. So it's definitely a very interesting place to be if you've got the time, the budget, and the visa to get in.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a really great opportunity. Jaroslav, I'll send you that information, okay?
I'll be there.
Yeah. We'll see y'all there. Group 29 party.
Yes.
We may have a live Burmester bar at one of the evenings again this year. We gotta get through the one in 2 weeks on the 29th before we worry about what's happening in September, but yes.
That's a fun time. And Reno, what the heck? I mean, come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah, Reno this year, and in what, 3 years, it's Atlantic City, 2 years, it's Atlantic City. I'm like, hey, maybe we can all make so much money that in our gambling that we'll be able to travel all across the globe for everyone.
We can go to the church.
Oh, the Club Achievement Report. Thank you, Maria. It is the number of members sponsored is in the Club Achievement Report, but you can't run one that's just a report that's just the list of sponsors. I don't think. I think
No, not right now. Hopefully
Yeah.
in the next one.
That's what, yes, that would be ideal. Let's see. I don't have anything else. I'm looking at my notes here. I will email you guys so you want to be a DG reimbursement spreadsheet, and I'll reiterate those items we had in the chat window as well in the email, just to make sure that it's all in one spot for you, so you don't have to worry about that.
V septembri možno pôjdeme ešte raz do Ameriky.
I'll also look for that DGE awards list, Denise. I'll see if I can find that before I send it out. I'm not going to have time to, because I don't want to send, I'll send one email with the link for the recording as well. So I won't have time to do that yet today, but I'll get it out in the next couple of days, so you'll have it from there. I think the key right now is if you guys run into roadblocks and you need help, if you just want to bounce ideas, please reach out to each other, reach out to me, reach out to your GAT leader, reach out to someone that can support you. What Denise said about, having that team of advisors, for lack of a better term, is so important to your mental health and your ability to be successful next year. Because it gets ugly at times. It gets really hard as you're working through some of this stuff. And there'll be weeks where all of a sudden it's like 5 meetings in a row are not fun and you're feeling pretty down. That's why we're all here, to support one another, to help keep everyone moving forward, because it's not all rosy at all. And sometimes you just need an ear from someone that's going through it or been through it to listen. And sometimes it has to be someone local, and sometimes you don't want to tell anyone locally because it's just going to cause more problems. So it's really important that we continue to communicate with one another. At this point, except for the session this next weekend, we've got our second redo session from those that can be a district governor elect school this coming Saturday morning and local time here. Other than that, we don't have anything else official scheduled between now and Boston. Thank you. That 4 hours of sleep I got last night is really kicking in now. So anyways, between now and Boston. So I'm perfectly willing to look at another session if we want to, and maybe we see where everyone's at, maybe in early June if we want to, or late May, early June. If you want to just have another session like this where we catch up, if there's more things to share, obviously as things comes through, I'll keep sharing them. But and everyone knows where everyone's email, we can get a hold of each other. So do you guys want to try and do another session in?
Sure, why not?
I do. I like to catch up with everybody too. I mean, just
Absolutely right.
So if we're looking at this same time that we did today, I can do, I'm looking at things. I can do the 21st is the only open Sunday I have.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, 21st of April or May?
Of May.
and our goals are due what day?
They are due the 31st, I believe.
That would be kind of good to.
It looks
Yeah,
good
that's
for
our-
me.
That's our
for me.
state convention.
That is your state convention?
That's ours too.
For me, it works.
My,
Works for me.
I could do, hold on, let me go back and look. we're already at the end of April. Never mind. Oh my God, it's April 16th. Wow, that's a rude revelation. All right, let me
Hopefully
go. look
taxes
at-
are due. And
That's not my department. That's why I keep arm candy / Dale around. I think we took care, I think we're done with that. I cannot do June 4th because we've got the telethon. I got a training. I possibly could do June 11th. If we move to a Saturday, Sundays seem to be pretty booked up. If we move to a Sunday or a Saturday, excuse me, I could do June 3rd or June 10th.
I can't make either one.
Sunday works for me on the 11th.
I can do the 11th.
I could do the 11th also.
So I have, we might need to move it back a little bit. I'm training certified guiding lions that day, starting at 9 a.m. I should be back by 1 p.m. local time, which is an hour later than we've been today, basically an hour later. Will an hour later work for,
Yes.
all right, everyone else good with that? All right,
No
let's do
problem for me.
group 29, catch
Yep.
up.
So we're moving it to June the 11th.
Yep, and we'll do it at 1 p.m. Central US.
So 11 o'clock Pacific, right?
Yes.
June the 11th.
June 11th. I will send that in the follow-up email as well. And then there'll be a registration just like we do every time. So we should have all of that in place.
Hey, fun side, my entire council from California have all decided to use the Agents of Change logo badge shirt that we're doing. And we also made pins up that we're going to be giving. In my district, I'm actually giving away a special award, the Agent of Change Award. And it's going to go to those people who step outside the normal boundaries and that kind of stuff. So we've got some pins to give out. And then at the end of the year, I'll give an award for the most, most creative and most whatever. I don't know. We haven't set the criteria yet, but we're going to work on that. So
That is super cool.
yeah, so I've got some pins. I have pins available if anybody wants one. In fact, I'll plan on bringing some for convention, so you can at least have one. If you actually want a physical group of them for yourself, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to put you into the group for them. I've already ordered them, but I think I got 2,000 coming. So
I'll always take a pin or 100.
I knew you would. Okay.
Sounds excellent, Drew. But don't forget about the moonshine.
Yeah, that's right. I've tried to find some. Nobody's got it.
There's a lot of moonshine available in the state of Wisconsin. I don't think they'll let me take it on a plane to bring it to you, but I had to pick up some wine for a birthday party yesterday, and I walked into this liquor store, and I happened to walk. It's a large liquor store. I walked down the aisle, and I was stunned that there is so much moonshine available. I'll just say that.
Well, actually sell it there in the stores.
I'm definitely going to exercise your custom service, because I'm going to bring that apricot brandy.
There you go.
So if I can find moonshine, if I can bring moonshine, I will. For anyone who wants to try it, it is an experience, I will tell you.
Yeah.
One which I will not partake in ever again, because I learned my lesson.
I've been trying to find it in California. It's been a struggle. I can't find him who's got me. So we'll keep looking to find it.
I come from a culture in Wisconsin that has a strong like of alcohol. There's a lot of opportunities. Oh, look at Barb's baby.
Can't really say it much, but it's Sully.
All right. Cool. You guys, thank you for all you're doing on behalf of your Lions. People don't tell you guys thanks enough. I know they don't. And the work you're doing right now is truly going to impact the organization going forward. All of the change, the things that you're doing, and hearing from all of you, you really are making a difference that's going to affect how the organization moves forward for years to come in your area and beyond. So keep it up. Don't let the naysayers get you down. Walk away from them knowing that you can't solve everyone's problems, and you can keep moving forward and keep those that are on your cheerleading squad cheerleading, because eventually, and none of us are spring chickens here. We're all been around the block in our careers. How many organizations and work-wise or in, volunteer organizations have someone who starts out being the biggest naysayer, all of a sudden a year down the road is the biggest cheerleader because they saw the value. And that's what I always hold on to, is that if I keep pushing and I keep helping them and see the value, and we can share some wins and share some communication about how things are going well, and be honest when things don't, it helps change those perspectives. So just keep plugging along and reach out for help.
Thank you.
Cool. You guys are awesome. You guys stay safe, have fun, enjoy the ride. And the roller coaster is going to start going much faster very soon. Oh, Jaroslav, you've got a nice little puppy there as well.
Everybody showing I must too. Baxi.
You guys all a month.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Yeah.
Bye.